things first, does anyone have any questions about the homework or any questions at all? Everyone doing all right? Hanjin, do you have a question?
Can you go over like how to like make like 200 or like 400 into like a percentage?
Okay, so you want large numbers into a percentage. Okay, so if we have, let's see. So if we have something like 200 out of 100, right? What's the percentage?
It'd be 200%.
Right, so 200%.
I'm talking about like if it said like something like 50 over 400 and 400 can't be made into like 100 anything, what would you do?
Okay, perfect. So that, no worries. What we want to do if you get one like this is we want the bottom, if we're getting a percentage, we always want the bottom to be 100, right? So we have to figure out how do we get from 400 to 100. What can we do?
Divide.
Perfect. And what are we going to divide by?
2.
Try again.
4.
4. Perfect. So if we have 400 and we want 100, we can see that what number goes into 4 one time, and it's 4. And so now what we can do is we can do 50 divided by 4. So if we do 50 divided by 4, this looks like a 1. And then we get a 2. And then we get a decimal. And so we get about 12 and a half. So now we would have 12.5. And now with this, we should be able to make a percentage. So what's 12.5 over 100 as a percentage? Can anyone tell me? Any ideas? Feel free to say it if you know it. So 12.5 out of 100 would be 12.5%, or 50 out of 400 would be 12.5%. Does that answer your question, Hanjin? Does that make sense? Perfect. So then if we had something like, we'll go smaller. So if we had like 2 out of 200, right? This one we can divide this by 2 to get 100, and this divided by 2 to get 1. We can have 1%. All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, perfect. Hanjin, did you have any other questions on the homework or anything? All right, good. What about everybody else? Everyone else doing all right? Feeling good about math? Any questions or anything, just let me know. All right, so today we're going to look at more percentages. So we're going to look at the percentage of a quantity. And so our first example is on page 147. I took the whole page and then we'll do number 1. So I wanted to just show everybody that percentages of a quantity. So if there's 500 people at a concert, 30% are children. How many children are there at the concert? So we can see here on this measuring stick that the total is 500. Oops, one second. Okay. So we can see here that the total is 500 and we need 30%. And so we can see here that we can find 1% of 500. So 1% is the same as 1 over 100. And we multiply that by 500. And here our zeros will cancel, and we get 1 times 5, and that's equal to 5. So then if we did 30% of 500, we can do the same, right? We can say that this is 500 and then times 30 over 100. And like we said before, 100 and 500 cancel to get 5. And that's how we get 5 times 30. 5 times 3 is 15. And we add our 0, so we get about 150. So here we can say there were 150 children at the concert. And that will be 30%. Any questions on that one? Or anything at all? No? Okay. So then we have method 2. So that was the first way to do it. So method 2, oops, I guess this one was almost the same. So method 2, they did 30 out of 100 and times 500. And so we already did this, right? 30 times 5 is 150. And so there's 150. Okay. Now, so those are our first method is we can take our 1% and then multiply that, or then we find our 5. Then we can multiply it by our percent times 100. Okay. So now we go to question number 1. And it says 10% of $200 is $20. So if this whole thing is $200, and these are every 10%. And so we can see every 1 unit, which is like from 0 to 10%, is equal to $200 divided by 10. Because there's 10 segments. And so 1 unit is 200, and we divide it by 10, and we get $20. And so if we have 200 at 20%, what can we do? Anyone want to try it? So here we would have 200, and then we would take it over 20. Oops. 20%. Did I do this wrong? Sorry. So if 1 unit is here, now we're looking for 2 units. And so now we can say 200 divided by 10, well, that's equal to 20. And that's for 1. So we need 2, so it'll be $40. Then it says 50% of 200. And so we know if 1 is 20. Hanjin, do you have a question?
No, so does that mean you just divide, well, this is a question, but do you just divide 200 by 2? Because do you just divide it by 2 or 5?
Yeah, so if we know that 50% is equal to 50 over 100, that's also equal to 1/2. So we can say times 1/2 or 200 divided by 2. You should get 100, right? Is that what you were getting at? Perfect. Okay, so now if we do it the other way, right? Or I guess it's almost the same. So we can have 200, and then we know 1 unit is 20, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can say 20 units or $20 times 5 units. And we get the same, $100. So for 80%, we have 2 ways to do it. We can come up here and do our 8. So we can do 20 times our 8. We should get about 160. Or what we can do is do our 200 times 80 over 100. And our zeros cancel, and we still get 160. Does that make sense? Any questions from anybody? Comments or concerns? Hanjin?
So when would you know if you divided or multiplied?
So it just depends. In this one, if you want to divide, you can see here we have 200 times 1/2, right? Well, that's the same as if we multiply 200 by 1, then divide by 2. So to know, I guess, when to divide.
So you just pick the easier method?
That's what I do. But if you wanted to stick with one method, you're always going to do your percentages, right? So you're going to do your, whatever this number is, we'll call it n. N is the number. And it's always going to be over 100, right? And so we'll always multiply whatever this is. So our money or whatever it is, our people, to get our certain percentages. And then we'll find out how many number of people or money or whatever we're looking to find. So this part's always division. But if you simplify this part into like 1/2 or 1/4, then you can just take your money or your people and divide it by like 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever you find. Does that help? All right, how's it going, Kong? So we're just doing more percentages.
Okay.
And so now we're going to look at question number 6 on page 148. So it says, find the value of each of the following. So we'll start with A. So we have 5% of 300. So here, right, we know we have 300 and we want to multiply by the percent. And 5% is 5 out of 100, right? So we can say zeros cancel. And now we get 3 times 5, which should be 15. So 5% of 300 should be 15. All right, so now what about for B? We have 200, and then we can multiply by 8 out of 100. And so our zeros cancel, and now we have 8 times 2, and we should get 16. This is B. This is A. Does that make sense so far? All right, so if we have 60 kilograms, this one's C. Does anybody want to try this one? Kong, would you like to try it?
Yeah, so would we times
Okay, so we'll multiply.
and 60 times 20 over 100.
Perfect. And because 20 over 100, this is the same as 20%.
And the zeros cancel. 1 0.
So this cancels with this.
Yes.
And then this one can cancel with this one. How about?
Okay. And then that's 12.
Perfect. So 12 kilograms. Does that make sense for everybody? Does everyone see why we got to cancel both the zeros? All right, perfect, good. All right, what about D? Hanjin, question, or do you want to try it?
Can I try it?
Yeah, so what are we gonna do for D?
You can't cancel out anything, right?
So you can, right? Let's try it. So let's write it out. We have 40, and then do you want
So
to
you
multiply it?
cancel the 0 out of 40, and that's it, right?
Yep, that looks like all that I can do. This 1, 0, and this 1, 0.
So and then you do 25 times 4,
Okay, so what's 25 times 4?
100.
All right, and then we're still over 10. And so now what can we do to this?
Make it into the simplest fraction.
Perfect.
So would it be 10?
Yep, because these two zeros cancel. 10 divided by 1 is 10. Meters, it looks like. Good job. Let's see. So now we'll do E. Anybody want to try E? Any takers? All right, Kong, you want to try this one?
Yeah, but I also have a question.
Okay.
So like, I heard before like we went to question number 6, Hyunjin was asking about like when to multiply or divide. So does that mean like sometimes we have to divide these numbers?
So we had a problem. Here, I'll go to it. Right here. And so we had C, and C was 50% of 200. And so Hanjin said, well, can't you take 200 and divide it by 2? And so I told her, of course you can, right? Because 50% I wrote up here. And it says 50% is equal to 50 over 100, which is the same as 1 over 2. And so if we were doing 50% of 200, we could say 200 times 1/2. But that's also the same as 200 divided by 2. And so let's see, for D, for instance, right? If we know that 25% is the same as 25 over 100, I know that 25 over 100 is the same as 1/4. And so we could have done 40 divided by 4 and gotten 10. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Hanjin, does that help to answer when? Okay. All right. So this one only works well if you get a 1 in your numerator, right? Then you can divide. But like for 75%, that's going to be 3/4. And so we can't say 400 divided by 4, right? But we can say like times 400 over 4 and then answer it. Okay, so let's keep going. Kong, did you want to try E?
Yeah, so we would times it. So 70 times 40 over 100. And then we can cancel on both zeros of 100, right? And then cancel the 70 0 and the 40 0. And then that would be 28.
Perfect, 28. Oops, that was a bad
So,
8. 28, and then kilometers. Great job. All right, anybody want to try F? Hanjin, what do we think?
So I multiplied 75 by 400 over 1000. I canceled the 2 zeros in 400 and got 300 over 10, and I simplified it to 30.
So you did 75 over 1,000, you said?
No, I did 400 over 1000.
So why did you do 400 over 1,000?
I just do it like that.
Okay, so with this one, if we know what this is, we can say 400, and then we'll multiply it by 75 over 100. And then you added 1,000 right here. Is that what you did?
No, I just, instead of doing 75 as a fraction, I did 400. Are you supposed to put the percentage as the fraction?
Yeah, so your percentage will always be the fraction because your percentages are always equal to some number over 100. Does that make sense? And so this 400 grams, that's just a whole 400 grams. And we want to know what 75% of that is. So your percent will always be the fraction. Or else we wouldn't know, unless they told us, we wouldn't know how much to put this one over. So like if they said there were 1,000 grams of something, and we need to know what percent is 400 of the 1,000, then we can put it over 1,000. But for these ones, we want to just keep it simple. It says 75% of 400, so we can do 400 times our 75 over 100. And so from here, what can we do? Can you solve this one? Go ahead and try it, Hanjin, and we'll walk through it.
So, would you first cancel the 0? So then that's 75 times 4, which is 300.
75 times 4 is 300. That sounds good to me. Yep, and that's our answer. So 75% of 400 is 300. Does that make sense? Perfect. Does that make sense for everybody else? Are we doing well? Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, we'll keep on going. So our next one is question 7, and this is on page 149. So it says William had $500. He spent 24% of his money on transport and 6% on food. So what percentage of his money is left? And so we can see here that 100%, right, is all of it. So the whole thing is 500, and that's 100%. So if he spent 24% and 36%, that means we can subtract 24% and 36%. And that will be together is 60%. And so 100% minus 60% will give us 40% left. So we can say that 40% of his money is left. Does that make sense? Okay, good. They kind of did this one for us. So we'll just walk through it. So now it says how much money was left. So we know he had 40% left of $500. So we know we can do is what we were doing before. We do 40% times our $500, right? And so I like to put 500 first, or our number first, and then we can multiply by 40 out of 100. And so this is nice. Our zeros cancel. 5 times 40 is about $200. So we can say $200 was left. Does that make sense for everybody? Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, we'll keep on going. So this is question 11 on page 150. It says, Ahmad has $2,700 in a savings book. The interest rate is 3% every year. How much money will he have in the bank after 1 year? And so here we can find the interest, so 3% of 2,700. And so how we do that is the same, right? 2,700 multiplied by 3 out of 100. Our zeros cancel. So now we have 27 times 3. And what would that be? 81, maybe? 27 times 3? Perfect, 81. All right, so we can say that 3% of 2,700 is $81. Do you have a question, Kong? Or anything? Oh, okay. And so now it says the amount of money in the bank after 1 year is equal to 2,700 plus the interest, and the interest is 81. Kong, question, or did you have something to say? Or
I had
try?
a way to solve this.
You know how to solve it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's sort of easy, like you just do 2,700 plus the interest, which is 80.
Perfect. So we'll have 2781, right? 2781. And does that make sense for everybody? So if you put in this amount of money and they say, okay, well, the interest will go up 3% every year. So after the first year, you can take 3% of your 2,700 and you end up getting 81. So now, after that first year, you'll have $2,781 in the bank. So your money goes up without even touching it. All right, now we'll look at question 12, and it's on page 150. This one says a man bought a refrigerator at a discount of 12%. Its usual price was $900. How much did he pay for the refrigerator? Kong, you think you can get this one? All right.
So wouldn't it just be 900 times 12 over 100?
Perfect. So we can find out 12% of 900, 12 over 100.
And the zeros cancel.
I just
Which-
did that and I got a number bigger
One,
than that.
108. 108?
108?
Mhm.
What did you say, Hanjin? You got a number bigger than what?
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
I was like confused.
Oh, okay. Fix it though? All good now? Perfect. All right, so Kong, you said that this 12% of 900 is 108.
Yes.
And so that's dollars, right? 108
Mhm.
dollars. So now what do we do with the 108?
900 minus that discount, which is 108.
Perfect. So that's the discount. So we'll put it in here. So now we can do 900 minus our discount. 900 minus 108. So we'll get about 792. So we paid $792 for the refrigerator. Does that make sense for everybody? Perfect. Good. We're all understanding percentages. All right, so now we'll do question 14, and this is page 151. It says there were 400 members in a chess club last year. Then the membership decreased by 5% this year. How many members are there this year? Hanjin, you want to try this one?
No, I have a question. Can you only divide with this one?
So this one with this question was 14. So this one, right, we'll turn 5% into 5 over 100, and we'll multiply it by 400, right? And so you get these zeros gone, and so you should get about 20 members. And so that's just the 5%. So 5% of 400 is 20. But if you changed 5 over 100 to 1 over 25, or 1 over 20, sorry, then you can do 400 and divide that by 20. And you should still get 20 if you do it that way. Is that what you meant? Okay, perfect. And so our 5% of 400 is 20. And so that decrease should be 20 members. So 400 minus our 20-person decrease will give us about 380. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Any comments or concerns? So let's see. All right, just wanted to make sure. All right, so now we'll have some word problems. So it says Amy bought a computer and it cost $950. But she had to pay a 6% sales tax on the $950. So how much did she pay in total? So let me ask everyone this. Is the cost of the computer going to go up with sales tax or down? What do you think? Thumbs up for up and thumbs down for down, or pointer fingers, whichever one.
It goes up.
All right, and so Francis thinks it goes up. Anybody else? Kong, you had your finger up. Hanjin, what do you think? Is our price going to go, or our pay going to be up or down after the 6%? Up. Okay, perfect. Good. So we're on the right track. So if we know that this cost $950, but then there is a 6% tax. So 6 out of 100. So we can do this 0 and this 0. And then it doesn't look very good, right? But we also know that 6 out of 10 is the same as 6/10. So we can say 95 times 0.6. Does that make sense why I did that? Okay, and so now we can make it a little bit easier, right? Oops, times 0.6. So we can do 0, add our 3, 54, 5, 6, 7. Then we can move it once. So we should get 57. Cool. All right. So $57 is the price of our sales tax. And you all told me that this makes the price go up. So we can take our 950, we'll add our sales tax, which is $57. And that will give us $1,007 for our total price. Does that make sense? Does that look good? All right, any questions on that one or anything so far? All right, perfect. Let's see. So we'll go to the next one. So now it says Amy spent 3/8 of her money on a novel and then 1/4 of her money on a puzzle. So what percentage of her money did she have left? Kong, you want to try this one?
Yeah, so I don't know if there's like an easier way to do this, but what I would do is I would do like 3/8 plus 1/4, and then I would create whatever that answer is into decimal, so I can make it into like a percent. Am I making any sense? And then we would do that, and then we just times it.
And then we times it. What are we timesing here?
The percentage of her money she spent.
So I think you're ahead of the game. We don't actually have anything in the problem. It didn't tell us anything to take a percentage of. All we know is she spent 3/8 of her money. And so 3/8, that by itself can be a percentage, right? So
Yes.
3/8, we can make into 100, something over 100. Same with 1/4. 1/4 is equal to, this one's easy, 25 over 100. So we can say that 1/4 is 25%. And let's see. And this one's about 37.5.
And then would we just plus those numbers together?
So not these ones. We can do these ones. So we have two choices. So if we know that this one is 37.5%, we can add it to this one and we'll get 25%, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
And so we can either add these and we get, let's see, 5, so it'd be about 62.5% total.
And
so
then
that's what money she spent, right?
like
I know how much money, what percent she has left.
So how would you do that, Francis? How would you do that after you get
I would
this?
subtract 100% from 62.5%.
So
I
subtract 62.5 from 100.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
I would get 37.5.
okay, perfect. All right. So Francis is on to something here. So he knew that at the beginning we had all of our money. We had 100%. So if we subtract the money we spent, the 62.5%, that means we have about 37.5% of our money left. The other way we could have done it was we can keep these as fractions, right? So if we did common denominators here, it would be 8. So we'd have 3/8, and then plus 1/4 is 2/8. And that would give us 5/8. And then to get this percentage, we can do two things, right? So 5/8 is what she spent. And so we can do this as a percentage, and we can get, so it'd be like over 100. And I know that's what, 12.5, 5 times 12.5. And that should get us our 62.5%. And so from here, we can go to here. Does that part make sense? Or if we know that she spent 5/8, we can do 8/8, because that's the same as 1, or 100%, and subtract our 5/8, what we spent, and get 3/8. And we know that 3/8 is the same as 37.5%. So we have a few different options on to how we're going to get the answer. Did those make sense? Does anyone have any questions or comments, or another way to do them? All right, perfect. So we'll move on to the next one then. So now it says Amy bought 750 apples, and she threw away 18% of the apples, which were found rotten. If she sold the remaining apples at 75 cents each, how much money did she collect from the sale? Give your answer in dollars and cents. So does anyone want to try this one or start us off? Any ideas? Kong, you look shaky. You're like, yeah, maybe.
I have an idea.
Okay, tell us your idea. How are you thinking about starting?
So first we would do 750 times 18/100.
Okay.
And we could take away the 0. But you said that we could, wait. And then could we make it into a decimal?
Yeah. Which one do you want to make into the decimal? 1 or 2?
2.
Okay, perfect. So this will be the same as 75 and then times 18 over 10. And this is the same as 18 tenths, or 0.18.
Yeah. And
Or wait, 18 divided by 10, sorry, I'm wrong. It would be 1.8.
wait. Okay. And
Right?
then, yeah. And then 75 times 1.8, which I don't know. Um, 135.
135, perfect. Make sure my math's good. So we get 135, and that's apples, right?
Mm-hmm. So she threw away 135. So then we would do 750 minus 135. Which is 615. And then she sold, and then 615 times 75.
Perfect. Times 75 or times 75 cents?
75 cents.
Okay. So times 0.75.
75 points.
So we can do a 5. We'll add our 2, 7, 30. Add our 0, 5. Here's our 3, 7, 0. Add our 1, 42, 43, I believe. And then 1, 2, 1, 2. So we should have something like 461 and 25 cents. Let me make sure those are right. So we'll do 615 times 0.75. Perfect. Okay. And that's it, right? 461.25. That answers that whole question. Does that make sense for everybody? Any questions on this one? Comments or concerns? Okay. So let's see. Now what we will do, because that's all the questions, now we'll do, you tell me, I'll give you a percentage of a number, and you tell me what the number is, okay? So we'll start off with an easy one. We'll say 10% of 100, and we'll go 20% of 200. Let's try 30% of 500. Let's go 75% of 75% of, go with 10. All right, let's see. Now we'll go 80% of 40, 25% of 70, 1% of 150. And then we'll go 90%. We'll try of 1,000. All right, so everyone try these. And once you get them done, put your thumbs up or your emojis up, and then we'll walk through them. And we'll see what we can get. Excuse me.
Oh, is it me or is it frozen?
Nope, so we're working on these problems, Francis. And then once you do them, give me a thumbs up so I know you're ready and we can go through them. I'll give everybody 2 more minutes. All right, see some thumbs up. Maybe about 30 more seconds. All right, I see a bunch of thumbs up. All right, so let's try these. 10% of 100. Who wants to walk us through that one? Colin, go ahead.
So, I just do 100 divided by 10.
You did 100 divided by 10?
Yeah. Or you could just do 100 times 10 over 100.
Okay. Or you said you did 100 divided by 10?
Yeah, because like,
Because 10% is
Yes.
equal to 1/10.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody want to try the next one? We'll go down. This will be number 2, 3. All right, Hanjin.
So I multiplied 200 by 20 over 100. I canceled out the zero, so it's 2 divided by 20 over 1, and I got 40.
Perfect. 40. Good job. How's it going, Brian? Good. All right, so 30%. This one here, we had 500, and we can multiply it by 30 over 100. So these can cancel, and what do we end up getting? 150. All right, let's see. Kong, do you want to try this next one? 75% of 10.
So it's just 10 times 75 over 100. And that's those zeros cancel. 1 0. And then 75 over 10. And then it becomes a decimal, which is 7.5.
Perfect. So that's what we should get left with, 7.5. Good job. Hey, Hanjin, you want to try this one? Just call it 5.
Which one? Oh, that one.
This one here.
I just scribbled them on the piece of paper, so I can't tell which one.
No worries.
So I did 40 times 80 over 100. I canceled the zero, so it was 4 times 8, and then it's 32.
32. Great. Kong, next one.
Yeah, so 70 times 25 over 100. And the 0 cancels. 7 times 25 is 175. 25 times 7 is 175.
And so that's your answer is 175
Over 10.
over 10. Got it.
And then we divide it, and then it equals 17.5.
Perfect. Good job. Let's see. Hanjin, you want to try 1% of 150?
I did 150 times 1 over 100. I canceled the zeros, so that was 15 times 1 over 10. And I got 15 over 10, which simplifies into 1 1/2. Is that right?
That's perfect. 1.5 or 1.5, whichever one works. Kong, you want to try this one?
Yeah. So 1000 times 90 over 10, and then the zeros 90 over 100. I mean, sorry. And then the 100 and 1000 zeros cancel, and then 10 times 90 equals 900, and the answer is 900.
Perfect. Great job. Easy as that. Okay. So now it looks like we're getting the hang of these. So now let's go back and we'll do some that Hanjin had asked about at the beginning. So Hanjin was asking, how do we get percentages? Say if we have something like, let's see, what if we had 3 over 20? Or if we did even bigger, let's say 10 out of, I don't know, 200. What's our percent going to be? Right? Let's try another one. Let's say 355, I don't know, out of 400. What's the percentage? So we'll do those 3. Then we'll say 16 out of 20. And then we'll say 1 out of 1,000. All right, so how do we turn these all into percentages? The last one we'll do 425 out of 450. Make it super tough. All right, so what are we going to do? How are we going to do these? What do we think? Kong, you have an idea?
Yeah. Can I do the last one?
You want to try this one?
Yeah.
All right, so what are we going to do?
So what I did was I did 450 times 2
Times 2.
to get to 900. And then we also have to do 425 times 2, which equals, which equals, 850, 850, and then we're going to do 900 divided by 9 to get to 100, and then 850 divided by 9, and then hold on. and then which equals 94 with, yeah, 94.4, and the answer is 94.4.
Perfect. So about 94.4%. Great job. So that was a good way. You did 450 times 2 to get this number to look like something that can turn into 100. Hanjin, did you want to try one?
Yeah, so for 10 over 200, I multiplied them by 5 and got 50 over 1,000. And I'm not sure about this, but I canceled out the zeros and got 5%.
Perfect. So we can cancel 1, 0. And we get 5 over 100. And that gives us 5%. Great job. So about 3 to 20. All right, so this one's kind of nice and easy, right? Here, 20 times, what do we got? 5, right? 20 times 5 is 100, so we can multiply both and get 15%. And same with this one. Multiply by 5 and multiply by 5. So we should get 100, and we should get 0 and 8. Get 80%. All right, what about this one? So we have 355 over 400. What are we going to do with that one? Any ideas? Kong, you want to try this one?
Yes. We just do 400 divided by 4 to get to 100, and then 355 divided by 4 to get 88.3.
88.3.
88 and a remainder of 3.
Okay, so we'll say with a remainder of 3, and then this is 4, so it would be 3/4.
Okay, and 87.5 is our answer.
So if we have a remainder of 3, we can take the remainder and put it over what we're dividing by. And so it's 3/4. All right, Hanjin, did you want to try this last one?
I'm not finished with it, so I did can you go over how to do 1,000s when there's nothing to cancel?
Yeah, so this one's kind of weird, right? Because we don't have any zeros. But what we want to do is to get it over 100, right? And so we need to get from 1,000 to 100.
So would you add a 0 to the numerator?
So we're not going to add a 0, right? Let's see. Here, we'll ask Kong. Kong, what is your thoughts?
My thoughts is we move the decimal place by 1 because it's dividing by 10 to get to 100. And wouldn't 0.1 just be the answer?
Yep. Does that make sense, Anjin? So to get from 1,000 to 100, we can divide by 10. Or what we can do is, if this is where our decimal is, if we move this 1 to the left, and our top answer looks like this, right? Because 0, 1.0, that's the same as 1. We can move that decimal over to the right. And that's the same as dividing both by 10. Then we get this 0.1 out of 100. And that's the same as 0.1%. Does that make sense? Perfect. Or 0.1%. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Are there any more questions, comments, concerns? Anything else? All right, good. Well, I will let everybody go, and I will see you all next week.